Welcome back, everyone. I'm Michael, and today we're going to be getting right back into some more Reddit stories. If you enjoy the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Now, without further ado, let's begin. This post was created in 2022 in the True Off My Chest subreddit by a user named I Might Be a Psycho. The post is titled, "My ex broke my heart, so I broke him." I, 28F, dated a guy for almost 3 years. To make it easy to understand, I'll refer to my ex as Sam, 28M. It was a long-distance relationship. I'm from the West Coast and he's from the East Coast. We met through a dating app and we hit it right off. The first few months were great. We had so much in common, and to me, it really seemed like this relationship was going to be serious. He was my first boyfriend. I held off on dating to focus on my studies and my career. He supported me throughout my master's program and my career development, and I helped him through major life changes that he was experiencing. I had always wanted a first and last relationship. I thought I had hit the jackpot with this guy. I travel a lot for my job. The company sends me out to different states to attend conferences, conduct training, etc., and most of these conferences are held in Sam's hometown. Even though it was a long-distance relationship, we would see each other more often because of the convenience of my job. I would stay in his apartment whenever I was there, and he would also fly to my hometown and stay at my apartment for weeks at a time. Everything was great until after our first anniversary. He started to become distant. During this time, I hadn't been able to fly down to his hometown because I was busy with training in our office. I never made him feel like he was less of a priority, and I would always text him throughout the day. Whenever we were together, I basically did what I thought a good girlfriend should do. I've never had experience, so I just did what I thought was right, like giving him attention, making him feel seen and heard, being patient with him, and allowing him to go out with his friends whenever he wanted to, etc. I really thought I was doing well for my first relationship until he asked for a break. I admit I did beg and cry when he asked for it, but ultimately I couldn't do anything and decided to accept it and move on. I was heartbroken, but I poured my attention into my job and eventually got promoted. 2 months passed and Sam reached out to me with a really long message. Basically, he was apologizing for the sudden breakup without an explanation. He explained why he had to do it, that he loved me, and that he knew he was wrong. However, if I wasn't willing to give him a second chance, he would settle for us being friends because he said I was a great person and a great friend. My trust was ruined at this point, but I wasn't really mad at him. I admit that I still loved him, so we decided to start over again, but as friends. To make a long story short, we ended up dating again after 5 months. I really thought this was like his redemption arc and that he'd be more attentive and loving toward me, and he was for about 3 months. Then he started being distant again. I slowly noticed a pattern in his actions. I asked a close friend of mine for some advice, and she told me that Sam was breadcrumbing me. He would give me attention and love, then suddenly stop, making me beg for more. After our second anniversary, we still kept our old anniversary date and celebrated that as our anniversary. He suddenly ghosted me. No message, no nothing. I was blocked on everything. I couldn't call or text his number. Nada. This time I wasn't as heartbroken. Instead, I was contemplating what this man was trying to do to me. He was toying with my emotions when all I had given him was genuine love. It started to frustrate me, but again, I didn't want to do anything about it and just moved on. 3 months went by and Sam was back in my DMs, this time with a different message. He wasn't asking for another chance or anything, he was just explaining why he had done it. Basically, it was all half-hearted explanations. He was leaving his old job, got busy with a new job, and didn't have time for me, so he thought he'd get everything done before he flew down to my hometown to reconcile. He asked if he could come and visit me so we could talk it all out. During this time, I found out that while we were together, he had been cheating on me, and apparently it didn't work out with that girl, so he came back to me. He had done this in the past as well, all of which was confirmed by a friend of mine who moved to his hometown and became my source of intel. This is when I felt a switch turn on in my head. I knew what he was doing, and instead of turning him down and just moving on, I wanted him to feel the way I felt when he did all of this to me. I told him he could come and visit me and that I would be waiting for him. At this point, I knew he realized I was acting out of character. He asked me if I was really okay with meeting him and talking things out, and I said yes. A week passed and he actually flew down to my hometown. He had the audacity to come to my apartment and stay with me for 3 weeks. I welcomed him with open arms nonetheless. We talked and he apologized over and over again. He kept insisting that he wasn't good enough for me to give him another chance. He kept saying how much of an asshole he was for doing that to me and that I never deserved any of it. He said he would understand if I wanted to throw him out right then and there. I hugged him and told him that I still loved him and wanted to make things work between us. He was taken aback because he wasn't expecting this reaction from me. I told him that he was the only one who understood me and that I had never felt this kind of attraction with anyone else. He hugged me back and told me how much he missed me and how much he loved me. We agreed to spend the 3 weeks together, rebuilding our relationship. For the next 3 weeks, I treated him like a king, showering him with love and affection. I cooked for him, making all of his favorite dishes. We would go out on dates almost every night. I bought him video games that he liked, and I would let him play all night while I sat next to him and watched him enjoy himself. I fucked his brains out every night. He would whisper words of love to me after we were intimate, and it was exactly what I wanted. 3 weeks were up, and he had to fly back to his hometown. He couldn't keep his hands off me the day before he had to leave. He kept telling me how much he wanted to stay and live with me. I played right into his fantasy and told him I wanted that as well. I, in fact, did not want that at all. I told him I would come and visit him the next chance I got. When he left, I felt relieved. Faking everything was exhausting, but I wasn't done yet. We kept texting, calling, and FaceTiming each other when he got back to his hometown, something he rarely wanted to do with me before. I wanted to drive him mad. I wanted to make him feel the way he almost made me feel. I started ignoring his texts and calls until he became desperate. I would make up excuses about being super busy and that I would make it up to him later. Next, I randomly posted pictures of myself with some male coworkers that would make it seem like we were on a date. I would post them on my Instagram story and quickly delete them once Sam had viewed them. He would blow up my phone, calling me and asking who that was and where I was. I would respond, "What are you talking about, babe? I've been so busy I haven't even had time to be on my phone," which was an obvious lie. But the more I did it, the more Sam started to question himself. He began to doubt whether he truly saw what he thought he saw. He would apologize and admit that he missed me so much and wanted to be with me as soon as possible. He was slowly becoming obsessed with me, which was exactly what I was hoping for. It got to the point where it drove him mad whenever I started to act coldly toward him. I would always play dumb whenever he asked why I was behaving that way. He would ask if I wanted to break up with him, and I would say, "Why would I do that? You're the only one for me." Whenever I said those words, his face would go from relieved to worried in a split second. I kept this up for months until the mere thought of me leaving him drove him insane. One time, he flew down to my hometown unannounced when I was acting cold toward him. He banged on my door at 10 p.m., bringing only a backpack with a few clothes. He clung to me that night, and I reassured him that I wasn't going to leave him. Once again, excuse my French, I gave him a of a lifetime. He had to fly home the next day, and I reassured him that I would always be there for him. Little did he know that I would be temporarily sent to Europe for a month-long training, and I wasn't planning on contacting him. The moment I left, I would be blocking him on everything and deleting all of my social media accounts. Am I a psycho? Probably. Update. I said I would post an update after a week, but as someone mentioned in the comments, we never really know what people can do. I have a Ring camera set up on my door. On the second day that I left, I was curious if anyone had been by my apartment. To my surprise, not really. I saw a frantic Sam banging on my door. Based on the footage I reviewed, he was there for a good 2 hours before a neighbor went out to talk to him. This might have been my downfall since I wasn't really expecting my neighbor to actually engage with Sam while he was there. I'm friendly with my neighbors, and the day I left, I had mentioned that I was heading to Europe for work-related reasons since they asked why I had luggage with me. It seems they told Sam about it, and he immediately ran out of my apartment building. I honestly wasn't expecting him to do anything since he had the audacity to cheat, so I thought he might just call it quits and move on. Nope, I was wrong. We had a common friend. Let's just call her V. Well, we didn't really talk to V much because she was busy with her life, a stay-at-home mom with 3 kids. Since we didn't speak often, I forgot to tell her about what happened with Sam. I had informed my friends and all our mutual acquaintances not to give Sam my number or contact me when he asked. When V called me, I answered, not realizing it was going to be Sam. He asked where I was in a very frantic voice, almost on the verge of tears. I plainly said, "Oh, you really don't need to know, right?" Like how I didn't need to know about Lisa, the girl he cheated on me with. He was very quiet for a while, and I thought about hanging up. Then he immediately went into an apology overload, giving all the cliche reasons like he made a mistake, it wasn't like that, etc. He was begging for another chance, a chance to finally make things right. He was really serious about us and wanted to fight for our relationship. I simply replied, "Maybe in the next life, bud," and hung up. I blocked V's number for the time being until I was sure he had left. This morning, I unblocked V's number and received a text saying, "I'm not giving up on us." I ignored it and went on with my day. The update is kind of anticlimactic, but I'm sure he got my message. And to answer some of the comments, yes, I know it's a waste of time doing this whole revenge thing, but I don't really care. It was totally worth it for me. Update 2. This asshole showed up in Germany and now won't stop blowing up my phone. This man found a way to track me down and is now here in Germany trying to find me. He managed to get a hold of me once and told me his plan. I blew up at him and said, "You cheated. Why can't you just go and be with that other woman or someone else? I've already made it clear that you're out of my life." He insisted he didn't cheat and that he wants to fix our relationship. On one hand, I completely underestimated what he could do, but on the other hand, I'm draining his bank account with what he's doing. Do I regret it? Nope. One user named Dagaholic summed up my thoughts perfectly. They said, "You guys are perfectly toxic for each other." Another user named This Could Be Massive left the following comment. "This seems like way too much time and effort to devote to a guy you don't even like anymore. Imagine if you put even a tenth of this effort into finding someone with whom you could have a healthy relationship. But I guess if it satisfies you to know what being a manipulative asshole feels like, you are definitely having that experience. I just really hope you don't bring this experience into your next relationship, now that you've made elaborate mind games a normal thing for you to do." Another comment was made by a now deleted user. The comment said, "Giving him all that attention and what he wanted, even for an extended period, even if it was calculated, seems like you were giving yourself an excuse to spend more time in the fantasy with him. In the end, it probably made it harder for you to leave. The minute he treated you that way, it should have been the end. No more wasted time and energy on revenge. Because if he cheated and treated you poorly from the beginning, he didn't care at all. He just knew he could take advantage of you. He probably didn't begin to care when you started catering to him. He likely just enjoyed the benefits and advantages. Understanding this will help you move on. I was like this once upon a time, cheating back when a guy cheated, making him obsessed, and then leaving. It helped my ego but messed with my soul. It's not healthy for you, the person doing it. You will carry these traits and probably trauma into another healthy relationship. It's all fun and games until you realize what kind of calculated and manipulative person you're becoming, even if in your mind it feels justified and deserved." A Reddit user named Something Else Too said the following in their comment. "After reading your post, you are definitely a psycho. That said, you have an amazing ability to write and share a story. I can see how your boyfriend has been twisting around your finger since he betrayed your trust. You are extremely convincing. All that said, you know as much as everyone here reading this, albeit entertained, that this is not good for your mental or spiritual well-being. It is very hard to be the better person and take the higher road because we're all human and desire some form of payback for those who have wronged us. But at some point, you have to consider that the energy and time you spent tormenting your cheating boyfriend could have been used to open new doors, potentially leading to Mr. Right knocking at your door. Now, instead, you have this bizarre plot twist that sounds epic online. However, in real life, people will view you differently. This is something that your future boyfriends can never know because if they suspect that you're capable of being that deceptive, they will wonder what else about you is not genuine. Summary: great writing, amazing acting performance, unhealthy coping skills for heartache and heartbreak. Learning to love genuinely is more important than seeking payback. Every day, week, and month invested in tormenting your past boyfriend only keeps you from moving on and finding someone who is truly compatible with you. I mentioned it several times now in my videos, but I myself can be pretty petty, so I think it's fine if someone wants to get revenge, but I also think that OP may have gone a bit far. I do agree that getting revenge in the first place is very mentally taxing, but it takes a lot of willpower to forgive someone like this. That being said, I think that OP's ex should experience something shitty happening to him, but whether or not this was too far is up for discussion. I hate that the guy went back to OP after chasing some other girl didn't work out. This next post was created in the True Off My Chest subreddit by a user named DapperLemon7495. The post was created in 2022 and is titled, "My fiance got a face tattoo without talking to anyone. I am honestly stunned right now. My fiance, Kim, I have just learned, is completely insane. She took some days off work this week, claiming to be sick, and avoided seeing most people in person. She said she was feeling unwell and just wanted to stay home alone. She has never given me any indication that she would lie about this in the 6 years we've been together. No one in her family had any concerns because she was a stable individual who would never do anything crazy. She got a face tattoo. She took 3 sick days from work to recover from the fact that she got a face tattoo. She told no one about this plan beforehand. I have never in our time together heard Kim mention tattoos. I wasn't even the first to find out. Her sister visited her because she got worried after Kim canceled their lunch meeting on her 3rd day sick, and that's when she got the grand reveal. Kim didn't tell anyone beforehand because she didn't want to be talked out of it, and hid the results because the swelling and redness were so bad that we would react badly and not be able to understand the artistic meaning. Kim is Asian American. She got Japanese symbols going down her forehead and under her eye. I don't know the meaning of them, and I don't really know if I care to know the meaning. Kim's parents are Japanese immigrants. According to her sister, who was nice enough to inform me of this whole debacle, this is a big no-no in Japanese culture. Tattoos are associated with crime and are looked down upon. Her parents are beside themselves, and that is a whole other set of drama I can't even begin to approach. Kim talked to me last night about it and acted offended, starting a fight because I told her it was absolutely insane to do this. She works a public-facing job and interacts face-to-face with clients in the financial industry. The minute her boss finds out, her career, one she went to school for, will be over. She didn't consider her job, her family, or me at all, and decided a long time ago that she was going to express herself freely without any concerns. I'm worried about her right now. This is not normal. She blocked my number after our fight and is ghosting me and her sister because we're trying to help. But, dear Lord, this is far beyond me. I cannot comprehend what I'm even supposed to do right now. Kim has lost her mind. Is there any chance I will be happy married to this? A woman who went and got a face tattoo and hid that fact because she knew we would all talk her out of it? Dear Lord, I really need to run, don't I? Wow, this got some attention. I read through the replies, but I can't really respond to all of you, so I'll just update here. The engagement is pretty much off. Kim has told me she never wants to see me again, and I woke up this morning to find her ring and a box of stuff I gave her on my porch. I don't know what's going on with her. Her sister and family have been trying their best, but nothing on their end seems to be working. I brought up to her sister the idea that this might be a mental breakdown, and they are looking into getting her help. It's painfully slow, considering Kim is not responding to anything and is refusing to talk to anyone. I really don't know what to say here, I guess. To answer some questions, Kim is 29 and I'm 28. In the 7 years I've known her, she has never acted like this at all. She had a good relationship with her parents, and while they were a bit overbearing at times, they supported her in going to college and pursuing a career rather than starting a family. From what I've gathered, they probably would have been fine with any tattoo she got, as long as it wasn't on her face, neck, or hands. Even then, this kind of behavior is as far from Kim as I could have imagined. She just lost her mind out of nowhere. It's not like I can do anything about it either. She's blocked my number and does not want to see me. I'm just at a loss for words. One day I'm engaged and the next I'm not, and my ex has a face tattoo. A user named ConsciousFront5650 said the following in a comment. This is really odd. It sounds like a terrible decision to me, as I'm not a fan of face tattoos. But putting my bias aside, the fact that she's hiding it from you and her family and hadn't been talking about getting it suggests that this is a very rash decision. I would try to get her help if she's in crisis, but you also need to think hard about marrying someone who is acting on impulse like this. Another user named Welly Kiwi then said, "She blocked you? Dude, I think your engagement might be over. Sounds like she's having some mental problems and doesn't want help with them." Here in Aotearoa, New Zealand, tattoos are massively common, but facial tattoos of a certain kind are definitely gang related. Reddit user Space Cadet Case left a comment saying, "I'm usually very your body your choice, but this is something that does impact your partner on a social and potentially financial level. If my fiancé did this without warning, I would be upset because it changes what our future looks like. I'd find out if this is mental health related and also if she plans on covering it up frequently for work or other events, and think about how you'll feel in those situations." User Downtown Librarian 72 said, "Problem is already solved. She blocked you and your best move is to just return the favor. I have an ex who went batshit and trying to help her was a complete waste of time and emotions and left me feeling traumatized. She gave up her career, her house, her overpriced Escalade, and completely shamed her family, all just to get knocked up by a junkie who was back in prison within a couple of weeks of them hooking up and has been there ever since. Cut your losses and thank your lucky stars you weren't married yet. I have to agree with the comments. I also tend to lean towards not caring what someone does to their body, but when it means that it can have an effect on those close to you, that's a different subject. Just like OP said, I was under the impression that the general populace of Japan actually discouraged tattoos, and those that did have them were somehow tied to gangs, especially if they were placed on or around your face. I'm not sure if I missed it, but I don't think OP gave us his and his fiance's ages. This might be some sort of midlife crisis, or like someone else mentioned a mental issue that has been brewing for a while. OP disappeared from Reddit for about 8 months before returning with an update. The update is titled "Ex-fiancé had a mental breakdown and got a face tattoo. She did everything she could to ruin her life. Now she wants to pick up the pieces, but I want her to take responsibility for what she did to me." About 9 months ago, my ex-fiancé, Kim, got a face tattoo without telling anyone. This was just the start of her efforts to ruin her life. She broke up with me and called off our 7-year relationship when I questioned why she did this. She worked in a client-facing job for an incredibly large financial institution and was let go within a month of returning to work after getting the tattoo. I kept in contact with Kim's sister, hoping for some news. They tried to get her help as they thought she was having some kind of psychotic break. However, she eventually called the police on her own family, claiming they were harassing her. After that, I decided to just walk away. Kim didn't just destroy her own life. When she broke up with me, I felt numb. I knew this wasn't the real Kim doing this. I wanted to believe deep down that she had always been this impulsive and reckless, ruining her life with a face tattoo. I tried to convince myself that I had not lost a wonderful woman with whom I had spent 7 years. However, the person who made these choices was not Kim. The woman who told me over the phone that she hated my guts for not supporting her. The woman who wrote that she hated me and only stayed with me out of pity. That was not the woman I asked to marry. That was not Kim. That was someone who, I came to find out, was having a mental breakdown, resulting in months of bad decisions that would affect the rest of her life. The day I walked away and told her sister I could not deal with it anymore was the worst day of my life. It hit me like a train. The numbness and denial of what I lost overwhelmed me all at once. I almost quit my job and considered moving back home to my parents. I can only thank my boss for being so understanding. She let me take 4 weeks off to deal with what happened. She and the rest of my team went far beyond what should ever be expected of co-workers and management, making me realize how close I was to leaving a job I actually enjoy. I never moved on from Kim, but I came to accept what had happened. I thought I was okay until 2 weeks ago. I got a call from Kim. She had blocked my number and done everything she could to remove me from her life. My mind just blanked when I saw it was her calling. I picked up and it was actually her. We didn't talk much. I didn't know what to say to her. We decided she would come over to my place and we talked. The tattoo is still there, but she's covering it up now with makeup. She says that when she has the funds, she's going to look into getting it removed if possible. She has lost a lot of weight since I last saw her. She hasn't been able to find a new job and will probably need to move to a new city for that. She wasn't the Kim I had fallen in love with. She seemed like a shell of her former self. Something just wasn't there anymore that used to be. Kim told me what had happened. The year leading up to the tattoo was awful for her. The stress of everything seemed to pile up more and more. I will respect her and keep much of what she told me private. However, the important thing is that she secretly started using amphetamines to keep her performance up at work and to cope with everything. One day, she just decided she hated everything about her life. She explained why she wanted the tattoo at the time. It doesn't really make much sense, but a lot of what she was thinking back then didn't. From there, she just lost control of everything. I won't discuss what happened after she disappeared, but it is not pretty. There are things she did that will follow her for the rest of her life. It explained a lot, but it did not make things any better. We talked for nearly the entire night. She didn't leave my place until almost 4 a.m. Since then, she said that she wants to try to get back together with me. She admitted she knows things cannot be the same, yet she wants to try. I haven't talked to anyone about what I'm about to say yet. I've held off on discussing it with Kim because it feels selfish. However, there's something about the way Kim acts regarding how her actions affected my life that irks me. When we talked that night, she said that I was lucky she cut me off. I was lucky I didn't have to go through any of this. I was lucky that my crazy ex wasn't at my door screaming or showing up at my work and causing a scene. She acts like my life wasn't affected at all. I told her what happened after she left, how much it hurt, how I almost quit my job and moved across the country. Her response was dismissive, as if because I didn't go through with that, I don't get to complain. She acted like because I wasn't the one with the tattoo on my face, I don't get to express how it had long-lasting effects on me. She didn't even apologize for the explicit and hateful note she left with my things when she returned them, or for the phone call where she called me a manipulative, selfish asshole who only wanted her for her body. She didn't apologize for breaking up with me either. She knows she was wrong to do it, but it's almost as if she's acting like because she had a breakdown, I can't hold her accountable for what she did to me because it wasn't long lasting. I texted her last night saying how hard it was for me when she left. She ignored it entirely and tried to move on with no acknowledgement at all. I don't know why, but it hurt me. It hurt me so much. I feel like I did back when all those emotions finally hit me after she left. I wish she had never come back into my life. I wish I didn't know what happened. I wish I hadn't picked up the call, because it hurts. But a part of me feels like I'm being selfish or complaining too much, that I don't get to feel this way because I'm not the one who had the mental breakdown. A user named SmartWay1247 said the following: "You are not being selfish. You are choosing yourself. She may have been going through a breakdown all those months ago, but she also chose herself over you, her family, and her career. Are you lucky that she cut you off? Maybe, but that's something that you are allowed to think, not something she's allowed to say, especially while being so dismissive and stoic in the face of the pain she put you through. I think you need to block her, cut contact completely, and move on with your life free of her. You need to protect yourself emotionally and psychologically, and keeping in contact with her is not the way to do that. Be safe." Another user named AnyAd6921 said, "Sounds like she's still on drugs, to be honest. If she had stopped, she would have gained at least some of the weight she lost back. She messed up her life doing meth and wants things to go back to how they used to be, but she doesn't want to give up the drugs. Block her number. She's acting so blasé about everything because she's still getting high, and the damage she has done doesn't fully register. It won't until she gets sober. Leave her alone. She will suck you in and ruin your life too. She will drain your bank account and whatever else she can get a hold of if she's still using." Another comment left by user Alana Advice said, "Oh, I'm so sorry. That's brutal. I think most people would understand why her reaction hurt you. It's because she doesn't care that you were hurt. Her pain is somehow more important since she is the one who had the mental breakdown. However, you were not the one who didn't deal with all that stress appropriately. It doesn't sound like you were aware of what was going on at that time, probably because she didn't tell you. She was the one who took those drugs and lied to you. She dismissed you from her life as if the past 7 years never happened. I think the reason you never got over her is that what she put you through was so traumatic. But now, you have a resolution and can move on. I would advise you to stay away from your ex. The fact that she didn't take any responsibility for her behavior or for the toxic, cruel words she said tells you everything. She should be able to acknowledge that, while yes, she did have a breakdown, what she did during that time hurt you deeply and she should apologize for it, but she doesn't want to. That shows how much you mean to her. The person you used to know should want to do everything in her power to make amends, not blame her breakdown for every ugly thing she said and did to avoid accountability. I just don't see how letting her back into your life will make things better. You need to think about yourself and find a way to heal without her." Then a user named Dirty Wizard left this under the post. "As someone with multiple addicts in their life, this is unfortunately how it is when they're at their worst. They become self-absorbed, selfish, and very bitter. If you aren't helping them, you're seen as hindering them. If you aren't trying to make them better, you're viewed as belittling them. They still deserve love, compassion, and support, but not at the cost of your mental health and well-being. It's time to move on. The woman you loved will likely never come back. Drug addictions and stress-induced mental breakdowns have a way of changing people permanently. In the end, it's your choice what you do. You obviously see the red flags, and she easily threw you away before. It's up to you to do what's best for yourself. The fact that she disregards your feelings because her woes are worse is incredibly messed up and reminds me a lot of my older brother. No one has a bad life, only him. But it's his fault. He chooses not to get help, to take from us, to hurt us, and to manipulate everyone. He's been sober on and off for longer than I can remember at this point. Your whole post reminds me most of him and my mother's relationship and interactions. Personally, I think she's getting close to you again, either to take from you or to manipulate you. She's going to be a hobosexual or slowly steal from you until she can take something significant and disappear, only to want to talk again later. Now, I know I am sort of generalizing drug addicts, but it's because it's my personal view growing up around addicts, attending a school with addicts, and living in a big city full of them. The one truth I can say is that the people closest to you often do the most damage and know how to take advantage of you. Stay safe, see a therapist, talk to someone you can trust, and do what's best for you. Edit. I forgot to add that it seems you did suffer some form of mental breakdown. Wanting to quit a job you enjoy because your home life is miserable is 100% a breakdown. Needing 4 or more weeks to get your head straight is a sign of that. Talk to a therapist, man. Don't let this eat you up like she let it eat her. You have to be the one to block her. Otherwise, she'll conveniently keep popping up just when you're starting to feel okay. Another comment left by user speech distinct 8793 said, "Hun, you did have a mental breakdown. Just because it looked different from hers doesn't mean it didn't happen. You were depressed and your mind was reeling from losing the life you had with her. Mentally, you were going through so much that you almost quit a job you loved because you couldn't manage your everyday life. That matters." She doesn't get to discount that and ignore it. If I were you, I would send her a text and tell her it's over for good, then block all contact. But if you are truly set on going through the good and the bad, however worse it may be, you need to have another conversation with her, and she needs to at the very least apologize for what she put you through. She needs to confront how her mental breakdown affected you. While she might not have been able to stop it from happening, she still needs to apologize for how it harmed you. She also needs to apologize to her family for putting them through this mess. Then both of you should consider therapy, together and separately. She needs to join some kind of inpatient or outpatient rehab and promise never to fall into that hole again, as well as to let people know if she's feeling stressed or overwhelmed. You need to take this slow. She's going to have good days and bad days. There will be times when she's doing well for a month, and then she may fall again. You need to ensure that you're committed to a life with someone who has an addiction to meth and may have a mental illness. Above all else, please make sure that you get therapy and have a support group and/or person. Don't wear yourself out trying to keep up with her and forget about yourself. After this post, OP yet again took a break from Reddit before making a new post about a year later. The post is titled, "My ex died from an OD. I learned yesterday that my ex, Kim, died of an OD on Sunday. I'm still processing the news, I guess. We broke up 2 years ago after Kim got a face tattoo out of nowhere. I have some other posts on this account about that if you want the full story. Kim reappeared in my life about a year ago after breaking up with me and essentially becoming a ghost. She wanted to get back together with me and I stupidly considered it and let her get a foot in the door. She claimed she was clean, but she wasn't. It was obvious she was still using meth, and my guess is she was still using After I finally declined to get back together with her, she slashed my tires after causing a scene at my office. Luckily, she's been out of my life for about 6 months now after some cop put the fear of God in her after she broke the restraining order. Thankfully, I've not heard much about Kim since then. The last I heard, she was wanted on a warrant and was hiding out across state lines. Yesterday though, Kim's sister called me to let me know she was found dead Sunday morning. She wanted me to hear it from her instead of through the grapevine. I appreciate it. Despite everything, Kim's family has been nothing but kind to me. Kim's parents are quietly cremating her and there won't be any ceremony. It seems that stealing from and abusing her family since she started doing meth has made them just as detached about her as I am. Or maybe they've already mourned the loss of their daughter long ago, and now this is just the end of whatever remained. Right now, I don't know how to feel. I feel like I should be sad. I knew Kim for 7 years. I was with her for 6. I was engaged to her. I lost my virginity to her. She was the first person I truly loved. I used to sit up with her and talk about the family I wanted to have. I wanted Kim to be the mother of my kids. She sat up with me as I cried when I heard the news of my mother's death. At one point in my life, she was the most important thing in the world to me, and I don't feel anything. When Kim left me, I was devastated. When she came back into my life, she made me feel a combination of emotions I can't even describe. And now, hearing the news that she's dead, I don't feel anything. I don't feel numb. I'm not in shock. I just lack any emotion towards this event at all. I feel like I should feel something, right? I still miss Kim. Not the Kim that died on Sunday. Not the Kim that stalked me. But the Kim I met. The Kim I fell in love with. The Kim that died when she started using meth. I still feel sad when I think about her, but knowing this other Kim is dead just makes me feel nothing. A user named DancingFool830 left the following comment. Life is long and twisted and short and to the point all in one shot. Take time to figure all of this out. You sound like you have a good head on your shoulders. Don't lose it. The grieving process is long and multifaceted. Trust me on this. The one thing I have always told everyone who has lost someone who really meant something to them is that you need to make the best choices for yourself. They would want that too in their heart of hearts. Believe in a higher power or not, in an afterlife or none, but make sure that the decisions you make would make them proud of you, the person you fell in love with and shared your true self with, if they are looking down on you now. I am sorry for your loss, and I hope you can find some peace in it. Don't be afraid or ashamed to speak with a medical professional if it comes back and hits you. There is no shame in getting help with coping with loss. From one random Redditor to another, I am confident you can find the silver lining in this cloud and will become a better and stronger person for getting through it. Always love who she was, not who she became. Good luck, friend. Another user named Simple Survival said, "What a roller coaster. Sorry for your loss, man. My mom died a few months ago, and like you, I didn't really feel anything when she passed because she was already dead to me after I stopped talking to her 3 years ago when she stole from me. I miss who my mom was, not the drug addict that died in her home. Drugs are a bitch, and addiction is a bitch. I hope anyone out there struggling with it can successfully overcome it. You're not alone, OP, but just so you know, this whole thing might emotionally hit you all at once, so be prepared for it. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Losing someone to addiction is never easy." Then user Smashed Together left the following comment. The worst part of having a loved one in addiction is that you lose them before you actually lose them. My ex died of an overdose, and even after heavy use for years, it was starting meth that really changed who he was. He had already died in my head so many times. Anytime he wouldn't pick up the phone or it was hard to wake him up. It should have lessened the shock of when he really did die, but it didn't. He was a beautiful person who had a hole inside that he couldn't fill, and I'll miss him always. If you want to reach out and talk about some of the complicated feelings you're having, feel free to DM me. Take care of yourself and mourn the Kim you loved. A comment left by user S. Vint Gatsby said, "I'm so sorry that you've gone through so much, OP. Drugs can tear lives apart, and as you noted, it's not just the lives of the addicts, but also the people around them, even if the person isn't intimately acquainted with them. Hell, people who get T-boned by a drunk driver whom they didn't even know can still have their lives torn apart without ever knowing the person. The stats in the US say that 1 in 5 people in any workplace are on meth. How do you think soccer moms are able to do it all? It's a hell of a drug. I'm sorry Kim got sucked into it, but she made choices and they're not your burden to bear. Definitely take it easy on yourself. I don't know if you're in therapy, but talking through all your feelings might be helpful. You can even just talk through those things with yourself out loud. I do that a lot, and it helps put things into perspective sometimes. Take care of yourself, OP. R.I.P. Kim." As several of the comments said, I think the best thing to do is to remember the person for who they were before all of the negative. If I were in OP's shoes, I personally would have viewed Kim as having died after that initial post. The person that she became was someone else entirely. Addiction is a terrible thing, and what makes it worse is there are many people who don't want to get better. The temporary pleasure and escape they get just keeps them in a limbo that will eventually lead to their death. There really isn't much else to say here besides that all of this sucks. I really hope OP gets some professional help, even if he doesn't feel he needs it right away. As someone else mentioned, all of the emotions may surface at the same time down the line.